It's interesting to note that out of all of the major empires that we have studied so far, especially their religions, you don't find any large followers of those anymore. You don't see any new temples being built to the god Ra, the sun god in ancient Egypt, or the numerous numbers of Sumerian or Babylonian gods. However, you still find a very robust followers of the people who follow the religion of Judaism. And today we're going to be looking at, and we're going to try to be answering the lesson question, how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Let's get started with this lesson. Our lesson goal is to learn about the foundations of Judaism. And in order to do that, we need to do three different things. The first thing we need to do is describe the beginnings of the Jewish faith. Secondly, we need to explain the history of the Kingdom of Israel. And third, we need to identify the characteristics of Judaism. Now, while we're doing that, we need you to focus on these words to know. Your academic word is migrate, and the rest of these are your domain-specific words, or words you will find throughout this lesson. And those words are covenant, monotheism, Exodus, Hebrew, and diaspora. Like we said, make sure you keep your eyes out for these words. Scholars, go ahead and take a look at the lesson question. At the top of the screen, it says, how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Well, to answer that question, we are first going to look at Judaism's beginning. And the second part of this lesson is going to focus on the Kingdom of Israel. And in the third and final part of this lesson, we're going to look at Judaism's beliefs. And by doing all of that, we'll be able to answer the lesson question of how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Before we focus on just Judaism, I want you to take a look at the timeline of other major world religions. You see that the first world religion was Judaism, which began in the Middle East around 1800 BCE. Afterward, you see Hinduism, then you see Buddhism, Christianity in 30 CE, and Islam in 610 CE. But what I want to pull your attention to is that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have all played a significant role in the Middle East and Western culture, while Hinduism and Buddhism have played a significant role in Asian cultures. Well, this is a historical look at world religions. Where are all these religions, or the predominant number of the followers of those religions, located today? Now, this is a map of the world religions today, and what I want you to focus on before we even get into this is that this is the majority of the people in these countries are of this believe in this particular religion. For example, Christianity. The majority of the people in North America, in South America, and in Europe are Christian. The majority of people in the Middle East, North Africa, and some other countries in sub-Saharan Africa follow the religion of Islam. However, what I want you to get is that even though the majority of the people in North America are Christians, there are still Jews, there are Buddhists, there are Hindus, and there are also Muslims as well. Now let's focus on Judaism. Now 40% of the Jewish population live in the United States. The rest of them live predominantly in the country of Israel. And this is exactly where we're going to be focusing on in this Middle Eastern part when we're studying the religion of Judaism. All right, scholars, back to our lesson question, which is at the top of the screen. Follow along with me. It says, how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Well, to begin answering that question, in this first part, we're going to look at Judaism's beginning. Let's go ahead and get started with this first part. We're going to begin by looking at what makes Judaism unique from other major religions, especially in that area where Judaism developed. And we're going to do that by comparing monotheism and polytheism. Let's start by looking at monotheism. Now, monotheism is the belief or worship of one God, a single God. It is also the belief that that one God was the creator of the world and humanity. Other monotheistic religions of today are Judaism, Christianity, as well as Islam. Now, take a look at the right side. This is polytheism. Now, polytheism, unlike monotheism, is the belief and worship of many gods, more than one. It is also the belief that one god might be more important than the other gods. In ancient Egypt, the god Ra was more important than other gods. This includes religions practiced by the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Sumerians, and modern-day Hinduism is a polytheistic religion. But this lesson is focusing just on Judaism, so let's go ahead and look at the founder or the father of Judaism, who is Abraham, who you can see on the screen. The reason why he's considered the founder or the father of Judaism is because he made a covenant or a sacred agreement with God. And tradition holds that God said, I will bless you, Abraham, but not just you, but I will bless the world through you and for generations to come. So not just Abraham's family, but his family's family and his family's family and for generations to come. As part of that covenant, Abraham moved from Ur, which is in Mesopotamia, to Canaan on God's orders to found a new nation. Now, not only is Abraham very important in Judaism, but he's a very important figure also in Christianity as well as Islam. Now, hundreds of years after Abraham came Moses, who you can see on the screen right here. Now, Moses is considered Judaism's greatest prophet and teacher. He's also really renowned because he freed the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt. Now, you may be thinking, wait, didn't you just tell me the Jewish people moved to Canaan? Now they're in Egypt? How did that happen? Stay with me. We'll go and see why the Jewish people moved from Canaan to Egypt in 1 second. But back to Moses. Now, he organized the religious and the community traditions for Judaism. And most of the traditions held in the Jewish faith can be traced back to Moses. And just like Abraham, he's mentioned in the Christian as well as the Islamic texts. Now, remember what I told you about how he freed the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt. We'll see that right here. Before we get to the Exodus. So, Abraham went from Ur, which is in Mesopotamia, further east of here, and he went to Canaan and settled in Canaan. However, tradition holds that there was a famine in Canaan. There was not enough food. Because of that, the Jewish people went from Canaan and settled in Egypt, where their numbers multiplied, so much so that they were a threat to the Pharaoh and the Egyptian people. And as a result of that, the Egyptians enslaved the Jewish people. And they believe that during the Exodus, the Pharaoh may have been Ramses II. So here's what's going on. The Jewish people are enslaved in Egypt. And during the Exodus, Moses led the Jews out of Egypt into Canaan. So Moses is in Egypt, and he leads the Jewish followers from Egypt, and he leads them to Canaan. However, the journey out of Egypt took 40 years, and tradition holds that the reason it took 40 years is because the Jewish people disobeyed God, and because of that, God forced them to wander the desert in the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years. Along the way, at Mount Sinai, Moses received the 10 Commandments, which were critical. Let's take a look at those 10 Commandments right now. Now, the 10 Commandments were the rules of behavior handed down by God, and it was considered a second covenant. You recall who received the first covenant? Well, it was Abraham, the father of Judaism. So the 10 Commandments are the second covenant. They addressed how to treat God as well as how to treat people. We'll see that in a second. And they also influenced the moral and legal codes of later cultures and time periods. Let's take a look at some of the 10 Commandments, which are found in the book of Exodus, chapter 20. It says, "And God spoke these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." What I want to focus on these first two is that those establish what type of religion? You recall? Was it monotheistic? Was it polytheistic? It was monotheistic. And you can see, I am the Lord thy God. You shall have no other gods before me. Those are singular. Lord, God, me, singular, monotheistic, worshiping one God. And these other three You shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against thy neighbor. These are how to treat people, and these ideas have greatly influenced the moral and legal codes of later cultures as well as time periods. Wonderful work, scholars. We finished the first part of the lesson, on to the second one. Stay with me, you're doing great. Before we go to the second part of the lesson, let's take a look at the lesson question, which is at the top of the screen. It says, how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Now, recall in the first part, we talked about Judaism's beginning, about the father of Judaism, Abraham, as well as Moses, who led the Jews out of Egypt to the promised land of Canaan, and along the way he received the 10 Commandments. Now, in this second part, we're going to look at what happened once the Jewish people arrived in Canaan, and we're going to look at the kingdom of Israel. Let's get started with this second part. Once the Jewish people settled in the land of Canaan, they organized into a total of 12 self-governing tribes amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. However, those tribes did unify in 1020 to form the Kingdom of Israel. You can see the greatest extent of the Kingdom of Israel, which is all this area in purple right here along the Mediterranean Sea. Now, this greatest extent was under King David, who is considered a really powerful king in Jewish tradition. Now, King David's son was named King Solomon. You can see a picture of him right here. Now, he was considered Israel's greatest and their most powerful king. He was also noted for his wisdom. In fact, the book of Proverbs, a great deal of these proverbs or wise sayings are credited to King Solomon. In addition to being great and being very powerful, he established many great building projects, including the Great Temple in Jerusalem, which is still to this day extremely important to the followers of Judaism. So these great building projects, they were extremely expensive, and they put the Kingdom of Israel in a great deal of debt. Now, this debt would actually cause a rift, and that rift would gradually lead to a split in Israel, where the Kingdom of Israel split into two in 922 BCE. You can see that on the map here, where in the north you have the Kingdom of Israel, and in the south you have the Kingdom of Judah. Now, the interesting thing about Judah is that was the largest tribe, the largest out of the 12 tribes. And Judah is where we get the word Judaism as well as the word Jew. They both come from the word Judah, from that large tribe. Now, the key thing here is that when the empire split, it was not as strong. And what happened is that the Assyrians, an empire you may have learned about earlier, were able to conquer the Kingdom of Israel. And then after the Kingdom of Israel was conquered, Judah fell to the Babylonians, and Jerusalem, its capital, fell in 598 BCE. After that happened, Solomon's temple was destroyed, which was a huge moment in the history of Judaism. Now, after the Babylonians successfully conquered the Kingdom of Judah, what happened next was the Babylonian captivity, where all Jews were forced to migrate to Babylonia. They had to leave Jerusalem or the Kingdom of Israel or the Kingdom of Judah and move to Babylonia. As a result of that, that led to the diaspora, or the scattering of Jews all around the region. However, after the Babylonian Empire was conquered, we saw the rise of the Persian Empire under King Cyrus. Now, King Cyrus was known for religious toleration. He was a Persian king, and he allowed the Jews to return to Israel. However, not all of them did, and you did see the Jewish people scatter all over the region. After the second diaspora, the one that happened in 70 CE, where the Jews in the Holy Land of Canaan were expelled from that region for centuries of non-existence, the country of Israel was reestablished in 1948. So from 70 CE till 1948, Israel did not have a nation. Now, modern Israel in the Middle East is considered the Jewish homeland. You can see a picture of Jerusalem right here. Now I want to draw your attention to the various key aspects of it, or for example, the old and the new. You see these ancient walls right here, but there's a mix of new buildings in the background too. So it's a blend of the old world and the new world. In addition to that, what's very interesting is that it's the home of people of many faiths. An example of that is, one, Jerusalem is part of the Jewish homeland, but if you look at this picture right here, you can see an Islamic mosque. Also in Jerusalem, you will find Christian churches. So you can see from that, it is the home to many different faiths. Hey, wonderful work, scholars. You finished the first two parts of the lesson. Only one more left. Stay with me. You're doing great. Let's take a look at the lesson question, which is at the top of the screen. It says, how did Judaism grow into a world religion? Well, to start answering that question, we looked at Judaism's beginnings under Abraham and then Moses, bringing the people into the Holy Land of Canaan. The second part, we looked at once in Canaan, they created the kingdom of Israel. It was split into two, and the diaspora spread the Jewish population all over the world. Now this third part, we're going to be looking at Judaism's beliefs. So let's go ahead and get focused on this last part. Stay with me, you're doing great. Over thousands of years, followers of Judaism have established a unique identity. Now, today, Judaism is a religion of 13 million people. 40% of them live in the United States. And over time, Jewish traditions have evolved into a distinct culture, where you have those who are born into the religion, if their mom and their dad are both Jewish, but you also have those who practice the religion. Now, Hebrew is the language of Judaism, and one symbol of Judaism is the Star of David. And you can see the star on the right. In fact, if you've ever seen the Israeli flag, this Star of David is right in the center of it. Now, Jews worship in a building called a synagogue. Now, in addition to all that, they receive their beliefs as well as their laws from two main sources. The first is the Torah, and the second is the Talmud. Let's focus on the Torah first. Now this is also called the the 5 books of Moses because it is believed that Moses wrote them. Those books are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Now, in those books, they tell the story of Judaism from the creation of the world to the death of Moses. They also include God's direction for worship, and they also include God's direction for living. So in the book of Exodus, as we saw earlier in this lesson, that's where you can find the 10 Commandments. But it also has different ideas of how to prepare food, for example. Let's go to the other side of the Talmud. Now the Talmud means study or learning. Now this includes a collection of laws and their interpretations. And it's been handed down from generation to generation. It was written by rabbis throughout Jewish history. So as you can see, over thousands of years, Jews have established a very unique identity. And one thing that really allows that identity to be unique and to maintain their beliefs and laws are the Torah as well as the Talmud. Now, the followers of Judaism have a number of high holy days. And today we're going to look at 3 of them. The first we're going to take a look at is Rosh Hashanah. Now Rosh Hashanah, it celebrates the Jewish New Year, but it also represents a period of reflection on the relationship with God as well as the duties of God's chosen people. Now during this time, followers of Judaism, they'll eat a number of delicacies, and it'll last a total of 10 days. And after 10 days comes the second high holy day we're going to talk about today of Yom Kippur. Now, Yom Kippur, this is a day of atonement, and like we just said, it marks the end of the period of reflection. Now, during Yom Kippur, this time is spent in fasting as well as in prayer. Now, this word fasting right here means giving up a meal or giving up food during a specific meal. And both of these, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they exist during late September or early October is when those take place. Well, the third high holy day we're going to take a look at is Passover. Now, Passover, it celebrates the Exodus, and the reason it gets the name Passover is because during the Exodus, it was written that during the final plague, the angel of the Lord passed over the Jewish houses in Egypt, hence the name Passover. Now, Passover is a celebration that lasts 8 days. A special meal called a Seder is included. We're going to take a look at that in a second. The story of the Exodus is read. And finally, Jews will eat unleavened bread called matzo throughout Passover. Now, the significance of unleavened bread is bread that is not given its time to rise, meaning many times you may have eaten a sandwich and the bread is a bit spongy. However, that is because it is given time to rise. Well, the Jews, when they were fleeing Egypt, they left so fast that they did not have time to let their bread rise. So that's why it's called unleavened bread. It is bread that has not risen. So let's take a look at this Seder meal on the right. Now, this is not eaten, but each part of this meal represents something different. For example, right here, this horseradish, it represents the bitterness of slavery. This egg right here represents new freedoms that were born to the Israelites, or new life and new freedom after they fled from Egypt. And finally, in the middle, this is salt water. Now, this salt water represents the tears of the Jews when they were enslaved. So each of these has a symbolic meaning, and these 3 different high holy days are very important to followers of Judaism.